Hi, this is Joy Robertson. As many of you know, I love food. I love finding new restaurants. I love trying new dishes. And most of all, I love talking to the many great restaurateurs and entrepreneurs we have here in the Ozarks and beyond. I love hearing their stories, and that's what this podcast is all about, learning more about them and their journey. So join me as we savor the Ozarks. This episode is brought to you by Arctic Food Equipment. So this is a name that you have heard of. I'm on Republic Road with my friend Chef Tiny. Tiny, a.k.a. Brandon Moore, or Brandon Moore, a.k.a. Chef Tiny. You pick. You've heard, of course, we've talked to Chef Pat Duran about Metropolitan Grill. Well, there's another place in sort of the same theme, Retro Metro on Republic Road, and I want to hear the story of how all of that unfolded. But first, I want to get to know you, Chef Tiny.
Yes.
Tell me about you. Where you come from?
Well, I originally come from Dallas, Texas. I was actually born in Phoenix, Arizona. When I was 6 months old, we moved to Dallas, Texas. And I grew up there and until I was about 13, and we moved here. And then I went to high school at Kickapoo. We moved here to the southwest side of Springfield in 1991, and actually we moved over on Briar Street. We lived that little tan house that kind of faces all that land that Johnny Morris has. That was the first house that we lived in, and then a year after that, we moved over to southwest Springfield. And but been a Kickapoo kid. Yeah, that's my school.
All right, so you know this area really well. You may have come here you may have been born somewhere else, but you spent that many years here and went to Kickapoo High School. Yeah. You're essentially a Southwest Missourian. So at a young age, did you know you enjoyed food, culinary, hospitality, restaurants? How did you get into this business?
So, I think you can ask every chef, and they're probably going to say, well, it was my mother and my grandmother, and it was. My mom used to throw the best parties at her house. She used to throw so many parties to celebrate people, and the food, my mom can cook. She's incredible. She's absolutely incredible. But it wasn't like anything super refined. It was more casseroles, things that, Midwest moms seem to do, right? And my grandmother did the same thing, and that's just kind of where that love for food came from at first. But yeah, it was most kids in my neighborhood, they wanted to either be in the garage with their dad, and I liked going out and playing sports and skateboarding, and then I went immediately inside of the house so I could see if mom had food ready yet. That was my thing. Yeah. All
right, we have that in common for sure. So what was your first job? Did you work in restaurants as a teenager?
I did. So I don't know if anybody ever remembers this place, but it was called the Emerald Coast. It was downtown Springfield. It preceded, in the same spot where Black Sheep is now downtown, it preceded Bijan's. And so I worked at Bijan's as well for a little while. I absolutely loved, that's kind of where I cut my teeth, I guess you could say, on just learning what a restaurant was and what it was all about. It was a fun time. I'll go that far, and that's about it. So,
what was it called again?
The Emerald Coast.
Emerald Coast.
Yeah.
What kind of food did they have at Emerald Coast?
So, I mean, it was a lot of the same kind of style as maybe you would find in, most Mediterranean places and stuff. But the cool thing was that we were open until 2 a.m. So we did a lot of the late night after bar crowds and stuff too. Would come by there and eat. So the kitchen would be open till like 2:30 in the morning, and yeah, it was a fun time. It was a good time.
Well, you mentioned Bijan's you cut your teeth. It sort of changed you. It had the same impact on me, but in a very different way. And this is just kind of an odd story, but my husband and I moved to Springfield in 1997.
Okay.
And I don't know when Bijan's opened, but when I discovered it, and we went in there, and I had that chicken Bijan, I was floored. I had never had a dish like that was that good. And I remember reading the menu, and I don't even know if the term foodie was around back then, but I remember reading the menu and thinking, this is genius. I don't know who came up with all this. But I remember also thinking goat cheese and a Guinness reduction. And I was like, what the hell is a reduction? I did not know what that meant until it came out and I asked about it. But that restaurant was very forward thinking.
Yeah, it really was. It was goat cheese, prosciutto, and basil in the center, and it's a chicken roulade, so it's a stuffed chicken, but it's not just like when you would typically cut the chicken a little bit and then pipe in stuffing. A chicken roulade is where you pound out a chicken breast thinner, and then you stuff the center of it, and then you roll it up, kind of like a burrito. And Guinness balsamic reduction. Yeah.
Which means you just boil it down and make it thicker, essentially? Is that dumbing it down enough?
Yeah, the sugars from everything, all the moisture and everything, all the water is starting to really reduce out, and all the sugars start to kind of get down into that caramelization and coagulate and everything. And then once you get to a point that you can put it in the fridge, then everything just kind of starts to congeal a little bit with that reduction, and it makes it thicker, nice, velvety, smooth consistency. Yeah.
Man, I'm so glad they still have that over here at Char, thank goodness, because it's a great dish. But so you worked there, and I've always said that people who get bit by the bug really get bit by the bug. If you like that atmosphere, if you like that hurried, sometimes frantic environment, it's loud, the kitchen's crazy, customers are wanting what they want, and they want it now. I guess it's safe to say you got bit by that bug, and you still love it?
Absolutely. I knew that was probably what I was going to do for a living. I was a decent baseball player. I got a college scholarship to a NAIA school up in Chicago, and I did that for my freshman year, but I think I was a little bit too much of a rebel. It was a Christian college. Is a Christian college, and I think I was a little bit too rebellious at that age to really abide by their rules, so that didn't last very long.
What position did you play?
I pitched and played first base, which is what most typical big guys do. Yeah.
You still a baseball fan, I guess?
I'm a huge baseball fan. That's my number one sport. My son plays ball at Missouri State West Plains. Nice. Plays pitcher. He's only a pitcher now, but when he was in high school, he played pitcher and first base, kind of all over the infield. But yeah, that's my second love. Like, if I wasn't doing food or culinary, I would definitely be trying to call Royals games or something like that by now. I'm a huge Royals fan. Huge Royals fan.
And based on the cap you're wearing, a huge Chiefs fan, as we all are.
As of right now, yes.
Yeah. And we're always going to be Chiefs. Life is hard sometimes, Tiny, but we can get through this.
We can. It's okay.
Okay, some good food and a nice glass of wine, we can get through anything. So how did you wind up at Metropolitan Grill?
So I moved to Chicago for a few years, and I worked at a place up there for, if anybody has seen the movie The Bear. Oh, yeah. It's called Stage, an apprenticeship, So I did that at Charlie Trotter's restaurant in Lincoln Park, and after I had done that, I decided to move back to Springfield. And I actually got on at a place called Chardonnay, which is a restaurant now where Char is. And so I worked at Chardonnay for a little bit, and then bounced back over to Bijan's. The revitalization of downtown for, the fifth time in that generation already. Downtown's always got those peaks and valleys, it seems like. And it was kind of going through this renaissance that was really cool. A lot of awesome new restaurants and shops opening up down there. And so I went back to Bijan's for a little bit, and then I met Pat at Galloway Station. I had been there. He was a bartender there, and him and I became friends. Bartender, barback, cooked. He cooked at Galloway. He pretty much did everything there. But that's when I first met Pat. And then we were downtown. I'll never forget this, because we were downtown it was a fall festival. I think it was like a food and wine and beer festival or something downtown. And I was in a beer garden with some of my buddies who were going to Metropolitan Grill all the time. That was their favorite place to hang out at. And Pat told me to come talk to him about coming to work over there. So that's kind of how that started. And that was about 2006, like right around the beginning of 2006, end of 2005, 2006, when I came over to Metro. And I worked there for, close to 5 years. It was the end of 2010 when I had left. And that's kind of what got me in touch with Pat. And that's what got me to work at Metropolitan Grill. And, I loved my time there. They're like family to me. There's some staff that still work there. Chef Nick, he's like family to me. So, all those people over there that I've worked with for so long, there's a couple that are still there. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, they've literally become like lifelong family friends of mine now.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Pat Duran actually opened Retro Metro, correct? What was your role here before you took it over?
Well, okay, so I moved up to Kansas City in 2016. 2016, we moved to Kansas City, and I was working for Casey Hops. So Casey Hops is like a restaurant company up there. They have several restaurants under their belt. And my whole job up there was to go in and just kind of assess restaurants and see, how can we make this better? How can we turn this around? What can we do? So Pat, when I moved back, COVID had hit. So shutdown was going on. Nothing was open. I was like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm just going to go find a random dive bar and apply and just bartend. And I mean, I'm talking, I want a place that has smoking. I want a place that has bands. I want it to be, wild and rowdy, just fun, make some good money bartending. So I started working at Just One More in Republic, and I started bartending there. And Pat had approached me about Great American Taco Company a couple months after starting there. And he wanted me to come over and kind of assess those and see, what I thought. And basically told him that over here at this location, which was Taco Company, I let him know what my thoughts were and what my feelings were. And he was like, well, that's kind of what I figured. Told me to come back the next day and talk to him at Metro. So I did. And he told me that Sherry has this idea, Pat's wife, of opening up a place on Southwest Springfield called Retro Metro. We cannot do it without you or without your wife, Hannah. Would you guys want to be a part of it? I said, that is actually a really interesting, good idea. Because on this side of town, we've never had a nice place, like nice steak place or nice, seafood place. It's been, the culture in Southwest Springfield is we have a lot of good food, a lot of good Asian food. We have Walk on Scenic is fantastic. Leong's is right here. Leong's is the legend, of Springfield pretty much. There's just so many great restaurants on this side of town, but there was nothing that did steak, seafood, on a little bit higher level. Right. And so I thought it was a fantastic idea. And I was in. And so I was like, well, I'll talk to Hannah and see if she wants to do it. And she was all in too. We knew all the old dishes, and if we didn't, we had all the phone numbers of all of the old chefs that we worked with at Metro that could maybe help us figure out what this dish was. Yeah.
And you mentioned Hannah. Hannah, is she a chef as well?
She is a chef. She is no longer, she helped us get Retro going. She's actually going into the medical field just like her mom. So her mom is one of the best pediatricians in the 417 area, Dr. Diane Nita. And Hannah's going into the medical field. So it's something that she's been wanting to do for a while now. And the fact that she's getting to do that is great. That's fantastic.
That is great. All right, so you're thinking about, let's Retro Metro, because Metropolitan Grill's been around for so long, and there are so many beloved dishes, many of which are named for customers, longtime customers. Yep. So you put your heads together, and this place opens its doors, and it's a great spot. It really is. That had to be fun, going back and saying, what maybe do we not have at Metropolitan Grill now that we want to go back and do again? How fun was that?
It was kind of a blast. It was a nice trip down memory lane. Pat had the great idea of the menu. Like, under each dish is the month and the year that dish was featured on a Metropolitan Grill menu. And I thought that was a great idea. It was kind of crazy because we started with a very small, simple 33-item menu. It was literally just kind of one page, and it had 2 columns, and that was all that we had. We've expanded that a little bit since then and kind of started doing a little bit of our own thing in there, but we still have a lot of the classics on the menu. But
such as, take us down memory lane here.
Well, the cocoa pasta, that's never going to go away. Flash fried spinach, there's no way that I could take that off the menu. People will burn the place to the ground.
Oh, yeah, there'll be riots. It won't be pretty. Yeah, that's delicious, by the way. I talked to Pat when he was on the podcast with me about the spinach. I think the better part of the world's spinach is eaten in Southwest Missouri. I may be wrong about that, but man, we go through a lot of spinach here.
100%. That's flash. I actually have my shirt right now that I'm wearing. It's got the Retro Metro logo on the front, and on the back it just says "Eat More Spinach." Eat more spinach. Just feed the people spinach. They'll be happy, especially if you deep fry it. Do a little Parmesan, lemon juice, garlic, salt, pepper. That's all you need. That's all you need.
It's all you need, except that maybe in a second plate of it. You might need a second plate of it. It's just one of the best things ever.
It is. And truthfully, that's one of our biggest legacy dishes. It will always be that way. It's something that we kind of hang our hat on here. Calamari is another one, too. We've been doing the same calamari since we've been open for 5 years, but it's been the same calamari that Metro's been doing for 30 years. Same flash fried spinach Metro's been doing for 30 years. The cocoa pasta, it's very minutely changed in that we use fresh garden peas instead of snap peas now. But it's the same recipe, same chicken veloute, same garlic cream sauce, same, everything. So, yeah.
What does Retro Metro do that's not retro? What do you do that's new? What have you brought to the table?
Well, so we do, I wanted to just gear things a little bit towards what I want to put on the menu, It is Retro Metro. We want to make sure that we can do the old things, especially the staple items. But we want to put our own mark out there, and I want to do something that's just a little bit more fun, try not to be just to be a little bit more approachable for people. And so I started putting burgers on. I started, doing burgers and fries and kind of like a lunch and dinner mashup, like for the whole day. Our burgers are 100% gourmet burgers. They're fantastic. And, steaks, we started doing some different steaks. We've done some different seafood, different sauces with that, some different pastas that have kind of been a little bit outside the box. But we've kind of done those things and had a lot of success with those. And, we love changing up our menu as seasonally as possible and just kind of creating newer things that can maybe become an instant classic on our menu.
Well, you do a good job with your social media. When I walked in the door a few minutes ago, I said I saw one of your burgers online, and it just made me want to come in here and get it immediately. But you're a favorite. I've been down here pretty much at happy hour time, and I know you have a lot of people that show up around that. You can have a beautiful, elegant dinner here, but you can also just kind of kick back with your friends at the end of a long day.
Absolutely. So that's kind of something that I think I learned a lot from in the early days from Nicola and Tony and Mike and all them.
Nicola Gilardi.
Yes.
Tony Garcia from Avanzari and Mike Jalili, of course. Yeah. Big names in this town.
Yeah. So, I learned a lot from them. I worked for Mike. I never worked for Nicola, but Nicola was the chef at Teatro. And, that was, my parents took me there for my birthday when I was 16. And it was like my first real fine dining experience, like from a customer standpoint. And that made a huge impression on me. And then Tony, when he followed into Teatro, and then Tony started Avanzari so young, and just having those guys around, they had a lot of an impression on me here in Springfield on how to take great food and elevate it and make it nice, and be able to give people such a nice experience in your restaurant. And then Pat, working for him, that's where it came as, okay, we have to make sure that you can also come back here and kick out and, have a great time with your friends. And it doesn't just, you can come here and you can drop a lot of money on steak and wine here, and you can drop a lot of money and you can really impress people. And that's great, but it's all about the energy. And Pat always taught me that is it's all about the energy of your restaurant. What do you want people to feel when they walk inside your restaurant? And that kind of goes back to my mom. My mom always made sure everybody had a drink in their hands, everybody was fed, and Pat was the same way. Everybody had a drink in their hands and everybody's fed and everybody's happy and the energy is good. And so that's what I wanted to create and on this side of town and give people someplace like them over there, but over here.
You've left town a few times. So you left here, you went to Chicago, you left here, you went to Kansas City. We're glad you're back here. Are you planted here now?
Oh, 100%. I'm going to die here in Southwest Springfield. I'm not going anywhere. I love it here. I love this side of town. I love Springfield in general. I like traveling across Springfield. My idea of a good time is to take a vacation to Caddy Corner up on, North Glenstone, or, go to, Pappy's place down. I like the historic Springfield restaurants. Those really get me excited because I just love knowing and learning about the history of restaurants and food in this area. I love that Leong's is right down the road. They're my favorite egg rolls in the entire world. And the spicy mustard, oh my gosh, it's so good. Walk on Scenic is excellent. There's so many restaurants around here that I just love going to. I don't really have a need to leave town to go eat anywhere because I think we have it all here. So if I have a need to take a vacation or a daycation or staycation, that's what I do.
You take care of the food, let us take care of the kitchen. Hi, I'm Nathan with Arctic Food Equipment. Our preventative maintenance program is trusted by local businesses all across Southwest Missouri. From front lobby ice machines to rooftop HVAC and everything in between, we have you covered. Don't let a breakdown slow you down. Call us today at 417-888-0100 and ask about our preventative maintenance program.
At Arctic Food Equipment, your success is our business always.
It's funny you should mention Caddy Corner. They were just on the podcast, probably, you're pouring coffee here, I'll have a warm up. I don't know, within the last few weeks. And man, what a great burger. And those curly fries made to order, unbelievable. And Pappy's, of course. I mean, it's an institution. So you and I are on the same wavelength on that deal. Now, I love a good sit-down gourmet meal. Even if I just have, a glass of wine and some spinach, I can't just have that. I have to have a little bit more. But, man, there's something to be said about a good old seat at the bar to dive bar.
Oh, absolutely. So my favorite food is burgers. So that's why this burger is out here. It's kind of my play on my size and my nickname. So the Fat Tiny Burger. So that's the one that you saw on social media.
Oh yeah, tell us what's it comprised of.
So it's candied bacon aioli. So we just basically we make a mayonnaise base and do a little bit of honey and some chopped bacon. So that's kind of the candied, part of it. And then we just mix that all together with a little bit of blackening spice, and that's pretty much it. And that goes on the bottom, and then it's got an 8-ounce Herzog Prime beef burger that has my burger seasoning on the outside of it, and then American cheese. That's it, top bun. And then we do lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle on the side. But my ideal burger has a lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle on the sauce because it's supposed to be a salad with the dressing being the sauce and then the meat and then the cheese. But burgers are my absolute favorite thing. And we have a lot of great burgers around this town too. So I'm always in the search of the best burgers, always.
Can't beat a good burger.
No.
Cannot beat a good burger. Where do you eat when you're not here?
Well,
besides Caddy Corner and Pappy's and whoever has a good burger, where do you eat when you're not here? What are your hobbies? What do you do?
Well, pretty much my hobbies are my kids, truthfully. So, I have 4 kids. Of course, the oldest is in college. But my other 3 kids, one of them works at the restaurant right now. She's a hostess. But my kids on Sundays kind of take up most of my time. So that's my hobby. But on Saturday mornings, I get a little window just to myself. And I like to go to JW's. I love breakfast. Breakfast, outside of burgers, breakfast is it's my favorite meal of the day, but it would be my second favorite cuisine, I guess you could say, after burgers. But JW's, in my mind, is the best. I absolutely love it. Andy always comes out and says hi, and him and I talk, and we'll just, usually we just bitch about what's going on in our restaurants. So like owner to owner, but we also talk about the good things. We'll talk about maybe trends or something like that, or, hey, what are you seeing over there? What are you seeing over there? So I don't mind that so much, but they just make great food. That kitchen staff over there, I love the breakfast there. Full English, got to get the full English. It just makes me feel like home. It really does. My grandma used to make the most extravagant breakfast in the world, and I'm telling you, JW's just hits every single bit of that nostalgia for me with their breakfast.
Andy Hampshire is great, and Farmer's Gastro is great. JW's is delicious. I love that you go over there every Saturday morning, and kind of that's your jam. And you and Andy can, like you said, you can kind of bitch about what's going on, but you can also reflect about, hey, how is this going for you? What are you seeing? What a great way to sort of commiserate with somebody that you admire.
Yeah, absolutely. And truthfully, we have such an awesome, me and Nicola and Tony and Pat and Johnson over at Ocean's End.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all of us are pretty tight, and we're pretty close, and Sean Kraft too, with Nona's. And, we're always kind of talking to each other and just seeing what's going on, and, always trying to help each other out as much as we can. We are I guess you could say it's kind of like a circle of trust in mom and pop, shops in Springfield. We realize that we're not part of a big corporation here,
right.
And Mike too. Mike, absolutely. All of those guys have really kind of blessed me with being in my life at a regular basis to just kind of be there for me if I need something or if I need some advice on something. But also, if they need help with something, I'm there for them too. So, I mean, we have a really, really awesome community of chefs that really stick really close to each other. And we try to keep it that way because, this is our town. And, we all share the same regulars, the same guests. Sure. And we want to make sure that we are there for each other so we can keep that experience going for them so they have all these great places to go to. And it really does mean a lot to me that I get to be kind of a part of that group now, that fraternity. So, it's just that's been the cool thing about Springfield in my mind is that we're not out to kill each other or put someone down, or to, try and put the other one out of business. That's not how we operate here in town. We want to have a lot of great places for all of our guests to enjoy. And the only way to do that is to stick together and band together and be there for each other. And it's really cool when me, myself, and I get to do that with guys that I've either worked for or looked up to my entire career.
I love the sense of cooperation and community here among the restaurateurs for sure. And, you could help me, Chef Tiny, while I'm thinking about it. I have yet to get Tony Garcia on the podcast. Now, I've had Chewy on, but not Tony because Tony's always on the golf course if he's not in the restaurant. So maybe you can make a plea not only to him but to Nicola Gilardi, who I have reached out to Nick Gilardi and said, tell your dad, call me, go slap him upside the head, whatever you have to do. So those two have yet to be on Savor of the Ozarks. Is there anything you can say to them, appeal to them to, hit me up, let's do this?
Yeah, Nicola and Tony, everybody needs to hear your story. They need to hear your story. They need to hear how you guys came here and where you guys came from and what started it, because truthfully, you are the godfathers of fine dining here in Springfield. You need to do this. Is that good enough?
That's good. Okay. That's a very good start. And you may have all their numbers. I think I have most of their numbers, and I still can't get them. They're busy people, though, really busy, and I totally get that. All right, I want to back up a second. You mentioned breakfast. My good friend, Billy Dove, the 417 foodist, he cannot get himself enough breakfast. I mean, for years, ever since I've known him, he talks about how breakfast is just the greatest meal ever. And it runs in my mind that you have a dish or two named after Billy, correct?
I do. So I've done a couple of pastas that I named after Billy for like kind of, something that he might like. Like there was a carbonara pasta that we had that was named after him. Right now we have a buffalo chicken salad that's named after him. So I just try to picture the most extravagant food coma item and name it after Billy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever do a breakfast for dinner item, and there's an idea for you, you really kind of need to work that in too. I mean, he's just a great guy, and he's really good at what he does. And I love the way that he promotes all of the restaurants and shows us in the 417 things that we may not have known about otherwise. Absolutely. He does that really well. But yeah, so you do name still some of your dishes for some of your longtime customers.
No, absolutely. So we wanted to keep that tradition going. Metropolitan Grill always said that the cheers of fine dining, that was kind of their motto. And we wanted to keep that tradition going over here. Of course, that's not my motto because that's Pat's motto. Mine is eats, drinks, and good times. But we are always going to make sure that we get people's names, that we get to know people, that we, recognize them by, hey, this person needs to be on the menu. We need to get them on the next menu. And trying to cycle through the names that we can get onto the menu. And that's a tradition that will always be here.
Well, it means so much to people, when they're sort of, I don't want to say memorialized, but you get it, last time I was in here, I think I had the Walt Gasca. What is it? Which dish is that? I forget.
So that was the so the Gasca is
it's just the Gasca.
Yeah, the Gasca. So it's obviously named after Dr. Gasca, the famous plastic surgeon here.
Of course, and his wife Martha, lovely people.
And it was 2 puff pastry purses, and Pat, of course, being Pat, puff pastry purses. Each one looks like a boob.
Oh.
So 2 boobs on a plate, and then the chicken, supreme sauce that we put over the top of it. But yeah, so inside was brie, and it was like a brie and goat cheese mixture that we would do in there. It was some chicken
it's
and
decadent.
Apples.
Chicken and apples?
Yeah, chicken and apples. Yeah, and so that was actually that dish had just debuted, I'm pretty sure, when I first started at Metro. I'm not 100% correct on that, maybe, but that should explain, obviously Pat's humor. And anyone listening to this already knows what Pat's humor is. And so he likes to have fun, and it's just kind of a play on Dr. Gasca being a plastic surgeon. So, yeah, 2 boobs on a plate,
That's the kind of thing that just endears you to the place. And I remember coming in here, and I was here for happy hour with a couple of girlfriends, and, we get a whole, a spinach or 2, and some of the dishes to sort of share, and it's delicious. But I do remember the Gasca and thinking, oh, this is probably going to be it for me, because that is some indulgent food right there. What dishes are you most proud of?
Wow, that's really hard. I would say right now my Fat Tiny Burger. I'm really proud of that. It's getting a lot of great press. It's getting a lot of great feedback from customers. A lot of people say it's the best burger in town. I'm not going to put my burger up there as the best burger in town. It is a damn good burger, but I don't think it's the best burger in town in my mind. But I'm really proud of that dish. I think it's kind of broken a little bit of a barrier here with us. I think Pat kind of did the same thing with Sherry's Place in the pizza. And so I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to kind of do it my style and my way with my favorite food and what I have a passion for, which is burgers. So I think we're trying to break that barrier of, hey, you can come in here. I mean, heck, you can get my Happy Meal, which I have these table tents all over the restaurant. My Happy Meal is, can I say that? I don't think I can. It's trademarked. But my Chef Tiny original meal is going to be a Chef Tiny Burger, or the Fat Tiny Burger, and it's got a pint of Urban Chestnut Zwickel with it for $16. So, we wanted to make something approachable where people come in and enjoy something really good and have a good time and not break the bank.
Well, that is one meal that makes me happy, just to think about. Fries on the side.
Fries on the side, yes, ma'am, always. We also do the lettuce, tomato, onion, and pickle on the side, because not everybody is kind of psychotic like me and loves all the vegetables on there. That's the way I got to do it.
That's what I say. Sweep the floor and put it on there. I want it all on. Yeah.
Exactly. I want all the veggies on there. But we can always make anything, how you like it. It's just like my favorite thing growing up. When we went out to eat, it was never to like anywhere nice when I was a little kid. So when I was growing up in Dallas, we would always go eat at Whataburger. That was like our going out to dinner, right? And so Whataburger it's always been my favorite burger. Mostly now for nostalgia than anything. But that's kind of what started my love for burgers, was Whataburger.
Are you a sweet snacker or a salty snacker? Like in the middle of the afternoon, right. You want something. You sweet or salty?
Always salty, but every once in a great while, I've got to have something sweet. And guess where I go? 2 doors down to Rita's. I go to Rita's because I can walk there. It's just right there. Yeah, that's where I go. I'll get a hankering every once in a while for something sweet, and that's where I go. They close in November, which really stinks, because then I got to try and find how to break my sweet tooth open when that hankering comes in the wintertime.
Not closed forever.
Not closed forever. They just break down for the wintertime, from like November to I think late February, somewhere in there.
What do you have there?
I always get a gelati. So it's one of those. It's like the Italian ice, but with the custard, and they just kind of layer it in there. Yeah, that's what I go for.
What about your desserts here?
My desserts here, okay. I'm not I'm not shy to say I don't like making desserts. I despise it. Baking is not my thing. I don't have the patience for it. So I try to do as little baking as possible. So most of my desserts, I've got a guy here that works here now, makes a fantastic cheesecake. I was like, awesome, dude. You make the cheesecake. I ain't doing it, but you can make it. The tiramisu is mine. So there's no baking involved in that. It's just like a parfait, just all layered. So that one is mine. The creme brulee, that's easy. But I would say my favorite dessert here is probably going to be the tiramisu. It's generally most people's favorite dessert here. I have a little secret ingredient that I splash into the coffee mixture. I think it's just something that I like. Gives a little anise flavor, Okay. Yeah. So I love a little bit of that licorice kind of fennel-y flavor. Yeah.
Nice. Are you in the kitchen a lot?
I am pretty much in there as much as possible. It just kind of depends on the night, depends on, usually early in the week, I'm in there more cooking, but later in the week, it's usually running the expo, which is the kind of the pass, where all the food's coming out. That way I can kind of inspect and see everything. Prime Rib Fridays, especially, I have to be on expo because I'm slicing the prime rib. So Prime Rib Fridays, I'm always back there. But yeah, I'm always here for lunch. I do a lot of the lunch cooking. So I try to be as involved as I possibly can, and I'll probably always be that way. I can't see myself not being in the kitchen in some capacity in my restaurant.
Well, that's what you do. Did you go to culinary school?
I did. So I went to culinary school, and I went for about a year and then dropped back out and then went back to work at the restaurant. My sous chef at Trotter's basically told me, he said, "You're stupid to pay for your education when I can give you the same education here." I don't necessarily agree with that. He did give me a great education. I think people should pursue the education and finish it. I never did. I'm an alumni of Kickapoo High School. That's what I tell everybody. I didn't really finish anywhere else. It's OTC has a great culinary program. Man, it's come a long ways nowadays. Your daughter is in it.
Yep.
So it's just really cool to see that, culinary school is around still, and that people are still have that interest in the culinary arts. And I love seeing how here in Springfield, our culinary program has come such a long way since it started at OTC.
Where did you attend school when you were there for a little while?
So I went to Culinary Institute of America adjunct campus in Chicago, in Schaumburg, Illinois. And it was just something that I should have finished. It's kind of one of my regrets. If I had one regret laying out there, it's that I just never finished school. I never got the paper, And there's something to be said about that, I think. That's probably my biggest regret, if I had to pick one, was that I never got the paper. I didn't finish it. I didn't finish that race, and I should have. And I think that is kind of what has ate at me for so long. That's why it's so hard for me to quit anything now. I can't just give up on anything now. If I'm gonna lose or fail at it, I'm gonna go all the way through.
Make it to the finish line. But look what you've done. I mean, my goodness. Did you ever meet Charlie Trotter?
Meet, yes. Words spoken, maybe 4.
Okay.
Total. He was very intense.
He was a complicated individual. That documentary about him is fascinating.
Yes, it really is. And like Grant Akins.
Oh, wow.
He was coming up at that same time, and through Trotter's restaurant. And Grant was. I think everybody just kind of knew how talented that man is, right off the bat. Molecular gastronomy and tweezers and stuff was never my thing. I appreciate that. I would love to go eat at places like that. That's fine. That's great. Thomas Keller's probably my all-time hero if I had to pick one. French Laundry is a bucket list item of mine. But for me, I knew what style of food I wanted to do with my life, and I wanted to keep it more home-style cooking, the old-school fine dining, I call it, searing really nice fine steaks in cast-iron skillets and just giving people those larger portions and stuff, and just plating it nice, but still making it kind of rustic, on the plate. These guys, they can do things I can't even imagine, some of the stuff they're doing, and it's really impressive. That was just never my style. But Charlie Trotter's was super cool, probably one of the coolest 7-8 months of my life. But as far as my early culinary career was, but it was. Charlie was so intense, very complicated, didn't really talk a whole lot except for to like the 3 people that were kind of in his inner circle. We were all there we were all soldiers when we were there, you know, and when I was there. And I would love to experience that again at some point, you know.
I'm sure. I mean, watching the documentary made me think, man, I wish I would have gone there when I had the opportunity. I have not been to Thomas Keller's French Laundry. Would love to do that someday. Have not been to Alinea. Have you been to Alinea?
I have never been to Alinea. I know that we had a chef here, Tyler, who went to OTC, graduated from there. And Tyler is working for the Alinea group up there. He doesn't work at Alinea, I don't believe, but he works for that group, for Aikett's Restaurant Group. At least the last time I talked to him, he was. And so that's really cool to see him, you know, get to do that. I'm all for the chefs. I get trying to do as much as you can, because I was always told if you're at a place for 2 to 3 years, you've been there too long. Especially when you're a young chef, you know, you need to try and move on and get as much experience as you possibly can. But there's something to be said for people that, you know, just stay at a place and that's where they've been for so many years. That's how so many great restaurants in Springfield have been built. They've been built on people that were there for decades. And I have a lot of admiration for that too. But there is something cool to see when you have chefs that work for you and they get to go on and they're doing something better to grow themselves. They started here and then they now feel comfortable enough that they can go and do something else and do something a little bit better for themselves.
I would imagine you like to travel and eat. What are some of your favorite food cities?
Oh man, Chicago's a pretty good one. Chicago's a pretty good one. I would say number 1 would be Chicago. Number 2, man, I had so much fun. Last year, we took a family vacation to go see my cousins in Hartford, Connecticut. And I'm telling you what, I had some of the best pizza I've ever had in my life. New Haven, some of the best burgers, too, I've ever had in my life. It was so incredible. The seafood, oh my gosh, the seafood up there. I mean, I get excellent seafood here from Seafood Express. Chris Perkins provides all my seafood. That guy is a wizard at sourcing seafood. I get really fresh stuff for as landlocked as we are. But do you go to the coast and then you have that stuff pretty much right out of the ocean that day? It's like, man, it's a totally different animal, right? So going up to Hartford and experiencing that, I had no idea Connecticut was such a big pizza state. I never knew that until we went there. They have the best pizza in the country, all across the board. It's crazy. New York might have something to say about that, but their pizza was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. So the food,
it makes me think of the movie Mystic Pizza from all those years ago, which it's been way too long since I've seen it, but maybe that's part of, I'd have to watch it again. But interesting, though, that Connecticut would have kind of the market on that sort of thing. That's not something you think of. You think of Chicago-style pizza or New York pizza, right?
I love that.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, it's Chicago thin crust.
Really?
You know, while we're on the topic of pizza, I mean, yeah, my favorite pizza place is right across the street, pretty much, Garbo's. I mean, I love Garbo's. Oh my God.
Garbo's is great. It's great stuff. She does a wonderful job over there.
Yeah, just go in there and order a grandiose with pineapple and jalapeno and tell Lane Tiny sent you, okay?
That's another wonderful restaurateur in this town, Lane, and what a great interview, and what a stick of dynamite she is, man.
Oh yeah,
love her.
Yeah, she's a pop rock, you know.
She is.
Yeah, she's a pop rock. But I've gotten to mash up and do a couple of things with her, and Garbo's just. That's one place. Talk about Springfield history in restaurants. 35 years they've been doing this, and I remember going for the first time when it was over here in the shopping center on Scenic, where Walk on Scenic is. And then they moved to Chesterfield, I think like 3 or 4 years after they opened up originally in Springfield. And I used to go there all the time after school and high school, and, even, becoming an adult and old enough to drink, going there and having beer and pizza. And it was funny because I had made a comment. I was like, why do I love Garbo's so much? I love it so much because I can go in there and it looks exactly like 1997 to me.
Yeah.
every time. And Lane messaged me and she was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do something about this. So she's actually been making some changes, nothing drastic, but some paint on the walls and stuff, some different colors. And she's like, you have to come see when I'm done, all the stuff that I've changed. But I'm like, well, I love that it looked like 1997 when I went in there too. So, but the pizza is the only reason why I go in there anyway. So it's my favorite.
It's good stuff. And I will say, I think we live in a very good food city here in Springfield, Missouri. Say what you will, but man, we have got some really good food here and just a great sense of cooperation. Thank you, Brandon Moore, a.k.a. Chef Tiny, for talking to me today on Savor the Ozarks. And, when you've got something new coming up, call me and we'll continue the conversation.
I will. Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun doing this. I love talking food and, Springfield history on food or just anything to do with food. I love talking about it too. So
same here. I can talk all day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Be sure to go to AroundTheOzarks.com to sign up for our daily newsletter where you can get every episode of Savor the Ozarks, plus all our other podcasts, events, and contests straight to your inbox. And what are your favorite dishes in the 417? You have any restaurants you'd like me to visit? Email me at joy@AroundTheOzarks.com.